Well, it's a new month, and that means a new patch for Universim. So let's check out what's new. This month finally brings at least the initial implementation of a feature everybody has been waiting for, and that is save and load. Now, it wasn't exactly what everybody's been asking for because this is not your traditional save and load mechanic. Crytevo has decided to do something unique in that the save and load mechanic is now a part of the game itself. Now, this may not be for all of you, and I totally understand as I personally hate the new mechanic. Saving and loading is done through a building called the Archive in the game. Now, this building is available right from the very beginning. It is very cheap, but it does degrade over time, just like all of the other buildings, and when it has degraded, you can no longer save or load your game. You also run into the issue that you can only save one game at a time. If you go out to the main menu and create a new game and place down the archive, you can actually load your old game from the new game. It does mean that as of currently, you cannot have multiple saved games going, so if you have multiple people who play the game on the same computer, you can't do that. It's not possible without going in and renaming files and things like that in the file system, which is totally unacceptable for a video game. The other problem is you can only have one save point, which makes it a little bit hard for people like me who like to do this content creation type stuff, or streamers, which may want to have different points in the game to be able to show off different functions or different features, or even just go back and make a small change so that the civilization evolves in a different way. There's only one save point that is available to you at this time. So, love it or hate it, either way, I am not a fan of the new load and save mechanic. I personally hope that they completely scrap this idea and don't reinvent this wheel, because in reality, why fix something that wasn't broken? So, some other new things from this patch. We have a cool new weather effect. Tornadoes are now available, or, well, they will happen to your civilization. Tornadoes do happen anywhere on the planet. If they do manage to make their way through your town, they will wreak a crap load of damage. They will kill a bunch of nuggets. This happens a little bit too frequently. In my first playthrough of this patch, I had 3 tornadoes in 30 minutes, and it did not feel great. They're really cool looking, they're really a neat mechanic. They seem to be way too frequent, or they seem to be centered around the civilization way too frequently. There's really no way to recover from a tornado in the early game, so once it happens, if you're 10 or 15 minutes into a game, you're pretty well screwed. Now I'll just assume that that's a balance thing, and they're going to have to lower the occurring rate on tornadoes, so hopefully they do that in a hotfix or in the next patch. Now, you'll also notice this patch that some things have kind of been rebalanced. There is a health system in which if your nuggets get too low in health, or if they get injured, they start to take consistent damage unless they are healed by a witch doctor or a doctor. The problem being now that a sandstorm can bring your entire civilization down to this point. Just a single sandstorm, which means that everybody would have to go see the witch doctor. Obviously, that is kind of an issue when you have 20 or 30 nuggets, or even 10 or 15, as your entire civilization will just wither away and die as your witch doctor decides to go off, eat or drink or make sweet nugget love. So hopefully we see some rebalancing around when that level 3 health kicks in, make it so that it doesn't kick in a little bit sooner, or see some rebalancing in how much damage these sandstorms actually do. Also, this patch, we've added a new creator power, a new god power. That is the ability to heal things. Right now, it only works on buildings initially. It does look like there is plans to make it work on nuggets as well. As of this current patch, it doesn't actually require any resources to cast, which is a good thing, as it's absolutely required to be able to play the game. And then there were a couple of nice little things that were added. News is now grouped, so you don't get overwhelmed by the amount of news that's possible. You can change those settings yourself. They did add, and I'm not sure why this was added before other gameplay elements, but hey, priorities, who knows? They did add the ability to put beards, or your nuggets will grow beards. I have no idea why this took priority over actual gameplay elements. And then we're going to start to see some more upgradable buildings. The buildings that are upgradable this time are the farm, the well, the reservoir, the water pump, and then also the eatery and the hospital from the previous patch. Now, one of the things that has changed this patch from the last patch is when you have an upgradable building, it does not appear as if the upgrade is available until you have the resources required. The problem is it never actually tells you what resources are required. Now, it does have the same problems from before, where upgrading a building destroys the previous building, so make sure that you take that into account when you do upgrade a building, and that you plan accordingly. There were some changes to food this way around. There was a little bit of a balance. It feels really good. The fishing hut produces more food now. You can get through the first winter by using berries and things like that, and then have enough food to really make it through the second winter. It's really just the sandstorms doing enough damage right now to put everybody into a critical state, as well as the frequency of tornadoes, or the fact that nuggets do have a tendency now to get stuck doing what they are doing. To unstick them, you can go ahead and grab them and place them down somewhere else. It will reset their pathing so that they will go and actually start moving again. I've had a couple of nuggets get stuck making new nuggets, which was a little awkward to pull them out of their house in the middle of that, but it needed to be done. Overall, this patch feels like it's one step forward in the world of balance for actual difficulty, but 2 steps backwards in everything else. The save and load mechanic, like I've already said, needs to be changed to an actual save and load mechanic. The actual balance for sandstorms needs to be redone, but food feels like it's in a really good place, as does water and other things. It's just kind of taking care of these other artificial difficulty increases that needs to happen, hopefully in a balance patch that's upcoming. Fighting bad AI is not a substitute for difficulty. Overall, however, I have enjoyed my time with the Universim. I can't recommend the game to anybody at this point, obviously, since it is in very early alpha, but it is coming along nicely, and I hope that you tune in to future videos where we cover more patches and more things like that. As always, if you've liked this video, hit the subscribe button to let you know when I post another one when a new patch comes out. Hit that little bell icon so that you get a notification, and hit that like button. Leave me a comment below if you're interested in the Universim or if you've picked it up yourself. Thanks, and I hope to see you around next patch.